I remember within the first hours of today, I took some bites out of the Big Ear chocolate bunny. That was part of my Easter basket this year. I recall waking up around 11 in the morning or so. And when I did, I finished by that point at least, I had finished the green plaid design for the vest. And then I set out to carefully draw the emblem for the flag of Costa Rica. I finished today's Styrofoam drawing at 1:40 p.m. I had thoughts of starting the Rochester symbol in the colors of the flag of Ukraine Styrofoam drawing. Based off a piece I had found in the basement a while back. And that's now currently on my bed in my room. Yeah, but I didn't start that Styrofoam drawing project because I wasn't sure which shade of blue to use. And then around 2 to 3 p.m., I had a lunch that consisted of a glass of milk, and essentially some more seafood ramen, although by that point there were only 2 small scallops left and no shrimp. All I could find within the leftovers of the seafood broil were imitation crab. One small little piece of an ear of corn, which I didn't take, as well as plenty of potatoes, of which I took 2 to put into the lunch seafood ramen. This is basically ramen with imitation crab and slices of a hard-boiled egg. Apparently, the imitation crab we got from Wegmans the other day, it's apparently wild Alaskan pollock. That's what it's made from. It seems pretty good to me. It tastes somewhat mild, but it does have an idea of a taste of crab to me. I believe this was after that seafood ramen lunch. For both that and this, I've been adding some of this spice and then some of this spice to it. Mom got these spices from the Man Crates company. They seem to make some pretty good spices, and with those two spices combined, the ramen has some good spice to it. I think it was around 6:15 p.m. When Mom and I went to Pin Chasers, which is within a bowling alley, which is a bar within a bowling alley-esque place, for a karaoke night. Pin Chasers has some good enough cocktails. They can have some pretty good cocktails at times, but they don't sell any food. For the karaoke night, I sang 3 songs, the first of which was Purple Rain by Prince, followed by Yellow by Coldplay, and then lastly I sang, this may have been around 10, my signature Suddenly Seymour by Ashman Howard, since that's typically the song, and in fact is the song in which I first either discovered or rediscovered my ability to raise my voice pitch-wise in order to sing the female part of a duet. Mom told me at one point today, I think it was in the afternoon, that she's feeling better from her cold. She still coughs sometimes, and she said her voice was a little nasally, but she still sang pretty good, according to me. I'm glad she's getting better. I, as usual, for when Mom takes me out on karaoke nights, brought a piece of Styrofoam along with Sharpie markers in order to work on a Styrofoam drawing in between singing karaoke songs. But instead I ended up being on my phone a lot, watching YouTube videos, trying to think about what I should do for the next Styrofoam drawing project. The next Styrofoam drawing project of a person, essentially. There was a man, an older man, who sat at the sort of big corner booth table that Mom and I sat at throughout the karaoke night. And for which I would at times every now and then have to get up in order to let Mom get out of her seat and out of the corner booth in order to either have her turn at karaoke or to go to the bathroom, and then I'd have to get up again in order for her to be able to get back to her seat at the corner booth table. There was a point around 4 p.m. or so in which I finished off the Crunchyroll family pack of sushi. And there was also a point in which I briefly went into the basement in order to try and look for new pieces of Styrofoam, but I didn't have any luck in finding that. I believe that basement trip was after the seafood ramen lunch. There was a point early on in which I got to talk to Rich, one of my old friends, although I didn't recognize him at first because, for one thing, he had taken to wearing a hat and suspenders, and his beard had gotten significantly longer to the point of being quite a full beard. And he also noticed that I had changed too. My hair was no longer long and curly, but was now short and straight for the most part. In actuality, it's still curly, but a certain amount of length is required in order for the curls to come out. If I let my hair grow out, or more accurately, if Dad lets it grow out, he's the one who offers to take me with him when he gets haircuts, though I could always decline going with Dad for those haircut trips. Rich recognized me pretty much right away. Though again, he did note that I had changed. We had made some brief conversation, and then I showed him the Styrofoam drawing you saw at the start of the video first, assuming you didn't skip past the photo part that's at the beginning of my dinner videos these days. And that's because I've kind of made these videos more like daily vlogs rather than purely videos meant to show what I had for dinner each day. Or for my last meal. Before going to bed. Rich noted that I had improved significantly with my Styrofoam drawings, and the secret to it has to do with consistent practice. I've been doing Styrofoam drawing practice quite a bit over the past 2 years, and I've been doing them since late 2013 when I was 14 years old. I started taking them more seriously when Dad started to give me requests. I think it started maybe around late 2020. It was around that time, and doing those requests would ultimately lead to improvements in skill. I have thought about getting into selling the Styrofoam drawings. Although Rich did ask me if I do it purely on Styrofoam. I have not done art exclusively for Styrofoam. For example, as part of one of my projects for that elementary art class I took during my final semester in college, I made a painting of different shades or hues of orange and blue. I say shade meaning a varying lightness of a particular color, though technically a shade is when you add black to a color in order to make it darker. And yeah, it's what I do is essentially drawing with Sharpie markers, which I could do on just about any surface, but I prefer Styrofoam because they're light. And they're different, which creates a relatively new niche, a relatively untapped niche. Though I primarily use Styrofoam because it's what I started with. It's just what happened to pique my interest all those years ago. There was also a point today in which it was right before Mom and I left for pin chasers, around 6 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. I tried to get the previous daily exclusive, which was a Phoenix Chicks a Phoenix chick building. Had I gotten it, I could have replaced this with it. And the new Phoenix chick building would have given me a whole lot of population along with a boost in my mana production. I generally don't use the Valorian guards because they're relatively terrible against light-ranged units, light melee units, sorry. They're relatively horrible at light melee units, which heavy melee units are naturally strong against, but the Valorian guards still get a bonus against light melee units, but it's relatively small compared to other types of heavy melee units. Such as this and this. At times I'm not 100% sure why you would use anything other than the standard barracks units, but when I did so in the past, it was because different units of the same type have different attack ranges and movement speeds. For example, this has a much greater movement range than this, so I tended to prefer these over these, but these are considerably weaker against light-ranged units than this. The basic barracks units are good for someone who doesn't want to have to employ a ton of strategy into each fight minigame. For province / Spire / tournament encounters, I typically pick just one, have all of my unit squads be of the same type, and that type is whichever is the strongest against all of the enemy squads. That's typically how I go for these combat minigames. In regards to how I prepare ramen, I also like to use this spice because I feel that it has a nice smell to it. This snake detail is also pretty cool. It took until pretty close to the end of the karaoke night. Maybe it was around 10 p.m. or so. But I feel like I'm going to do an older, dark-skinned male with a Vietnam veteran baseball cap. I drew on the front and sides the line I would draw for the base of the baseball cap on the front and sides. And then toward the very end, I did the back using what seemed to be the only black Sharpie fine point marker I had managed to bring with me, and haphazardly putting various Sharpie markers that were on my bed into a bag that reminds me of a tote bag but isn't quite a tote bag. There was a point in which before Mom and I went to Pin Chasers, maybe it was around 4 p.m. or so, from 3 to 4 p.m., in which I thought I needed to imminently start working on 2 Styrofoam drawing projects. Start one, finish it, and then start the other. This of essentially, I think it's the groom and bride, and it's for a wedding party. I knew it was going to be in May, but I didn't know if it would be early May. I initially thought it would be in early May, but I think I called my dad about twice within an hour because I wanted to ask him if he had a picture of the 2 people I would be making 2 Styrofoam drawings out of. And when he said he hadn't yet gotten those pictures, I then asked if he knew when the wedding would be. And this idea of me making Styrofoam drawings for a wedding party, that idea came from Dad. I recall one of the things Rich said when I showed him the newer Styrofoam drawings is that they had a lot more detail. I think that has to do with me coming up with concepts that result in a whole lot more detail these days. Such as deciding to do patterns for a shirt or jacket that are more complex than a single solid color, and then chunking a Styrofoam drawing into a series of mini drawings, such as the revolver and then the Costa Rica emblem for that Styrofoam drawing I finished in the early afternoon today. Anyways, this soup this broth that was created from combining 3 cups of water with that chicken flavoring packet that comes with a pack of ramen instant noodles. It's got some good spice to it. And toward the end of the karaoke night, I did try to put in a request for a fourth song. In this case, Gonna Soak Up the Sun by Sheryl Crow. But the karaoke host said that he wasn't going to have time to fit that one in. Still, it was a pretty good karaoke night. The people within Pin Chasers for each song I sang, they expressed their appreciation in hearing me sing. It's good to know that I added value for them through singing tonight. And all of those bites out of that Big Ear Hollow Chocolate Bunny, they weren't all within the first hours of today. One or two of those bites were around the period in which I briefly searched the basement of between 2 and 4 p.m. Ultimately, while I didn't get the Phoenix Chick daily exclusive, I did manage to get an artifact for the Twilight Phoenix and thus evolve it from this stage to this stage. And I also got a total of 25 knowledge points, which I then donated to a top member of the fellowship I'm currently a member of. Doing that seems to be a good way to be prepared for future ancient wonders that I'll unlock as I progress through the chapters of this game. And also, I've started the process of replacing my old roads with the latest lore street, courtesy of the university.